Welcome to the Seed Creative Podcast, the podcast where we discuss both video production and just life in general. The goal of this podcast is the same as the goal of our business, to make a difference in people's lives. Hello, this is George Edmondson. Welcome to the Seed Creative Podcast. Today we have a very special guest who is kind of like, what's an animal that's like really evasive and hides a lot?
I don't know.
A chameleon. You just kind of blend into the background.
I guess.
Gavin.
That's me.
Welcome. Get nice and up in there. Gavin doesn't talk super loud. So today we're going to be talking to Gavin. A little bit of information about Gavin. He has worked at Seed Creative now, if you include the internship, for 3 years. Isn't that crazy?
Since 2019.
Have we ever told that story? Have we told your story on the Seed Creative Podcast?
Yes.
Okay.
It was a long time ago. It was when we first started.
Let's give a recap. So Gavin, why don't you tell everyone who you are and how you came to be a Seed Creative partner, employee, person that works here.
So I'm Gavin. When I was in high school, I was in a TV program, like a class. George and his crew came to our school, and they were shooting a commercial for, what is it, West Alabama Works?
It was a West Alabama Works thing, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And my teacher, Miss Jody Evans, she kind of arranged with George for some of her students, including me, to be able to shadow them and kind of just watch and help out if needed. And I kind of just did whatever I could and tried to impress George, and then I emailed him a bunch of times later asking I remember one thing I said was, just let me sweep.
Did you really say that?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
And scheduled I guess it was kind of like an interview.
Yeah.
And I got an internship that eventually turned into a full-time job.
Isn't that awesome? It's a cool story.
It's my dream job.
Yeah, dude. Well, it's a dream having you here, Gavin.
Well, thank you, George.
So, Gavin, one of the first things that stuck out to me, we've talked before, like, that Gavin caught, like, a continuity error because we were running around and filming a bunch of stuff, and there was a kid that doesn't wear glasses that in a scene before he was wearing glasses, and then he wasn't, and Gavin's like, shouldn't he be wearing glasses? And that immediately was like, oh, this kid like pays attention, he gets it. But then there was also some stuff where you showed me that you had done some like VFX stuff. What was that again? Tell me about that.
It was just like an Iron Man HUD tutorial that I followed.
And what did you do that in?
Hit Film Express.
Hit Film Express, that's right. Yeah, which was I guess it's still free. I think Hit Film Express is, I think it is. So, but yeah, we were like, wow, like this guy gets it. He understands tracking. He understands like 3-dimensional space, and he's doing a lot for a 16-year-old. You were 16 at the time. So crazy. And so anyway, it turned into an internship and then a paid internship, and then he got like credit for it. He got to do the work, what's it called? Work placement or
co-op.
Co-op, yeah. So
I know. Yes.
Yeah, it was co-op. So like you got to come and work and get school credit for it and stuff. So it was awesome. And now he's here, and we wanted to like kind of talk about some of your roles currently, but then some of your roles within Seed Creative that we know are on the horizon, especially based on the work you've been doing for like the past week, basically. But why don't you tell people kind of what you do around Seed Creative currently? Like, what are some of the roles that you fill working here?
I mean, all of us kind of do everything.
Yeah. So what do you do?
Specifically, what I've been doing as of lately. And
we're gonna get there yet. We're gonna get there.
Okay.
What are your like regular things? Like, okay, for the podcast, anyone that has ever watched the podcast, what are you doing?
Almost every podcast, I'm switching in the other room.
Right.
So like we've got this thing called a Sumo. All 3 cameras feed into it, and it records to a solid state drive. And I can just tap on the screen of which angle it needs to go to, and it creates like what's called an XML for Final Cut. And you can import it into Final Cut, and then it's like all of those little switches are edited in, and then you can adjust them later.
Yeah, so it's a multicam XML.
Yeah.
Right. So those are the, like, Gavin is playing such an important role, even in this podcast behind the scenes, that, yes, you know, people have heard us say, like, oh, Gavin, scream from the thing, and you're like, rah, and all that stuff, and that's, like, great, but, like, it can also, like, be, like, people aren't even realizing there's someone back there monitoring our audio, like switching the cameras, making sure the light looks right, making sure we're in focus, and that's you.
And right now that's Nick.
Well, right now that's Nick. He's in the back doing all of the work. Ha 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 ha. Nick is finally doing something. I thought he was gonna come on the talkback mic. He didn't. He's probably just like cussing me in the room. Anyway, so Gavin also, he does so much. He does a lot of some of the kind of basic work that we all do, which is you help load the car and the van. You've been really playing, when in production, really filling the role of a first AC a lot lately, where you prep the camera, you get the lenses on, you get all of that ready. You've really become a master at like balancing our Ronin and things like that. So you do that, and then you're also fill the role of a DIT a lot of times, where you're data management, you're offloading footage, you're prepping timelines for editing, you're doing some of the pre-edits, which Adam does a lot of too, where it's like you do a pre-edit and then I take over and do like the cleanup and creative side, or you know what I mean? So yeah, you absolutely do a lot here. But while we all pride ourselves on being able to do a lot, I think that all of us naturally sort of flow into like one job duty, and like that's where we really like do the most and make the most impact for Seed Creative. Mine being probably like the business side of it, closing deals and making sales, and then like director, you know, and then Nick is like the podcast producer. Nick is the, you know, he goes out and usually is like camera operator or like second camera op. He's, you know, setting up lights, stuff like that. Like that's kind of where, while he does do editing and stuff, like he does more of that side of things. And then you have really been kind of all over the place. And we haven't found where it's like, where is Gavin's, like, yes, we're all going to do all of it, but what is Gavin's thing? And we knew what it was. We just never had the opportunities to put it in place until recently. And we think that we're starting to find that flow. So now we can talk about what you've been doing lately and where we're starting to kind of weave this this new kind of offering within Seed Creative.
So I've been since 2019, like back in maybe September, when I first got a computer for working with Seed Creative, I got this open source software called Blender, which is kind of like an all-in-one software, but it's mainly used for like visual effects and animations. And over the course of the past 3 years, I've been trying to learn Blender and figure out how to make photorealistic visual effects and animations. But the issue is, like, most of our clients don't need that kind of stuff.
Right.
But it's starting to come into a role because we're starting to get some clients that may need that type of stuff. We're just trying to figure out if they do need it, and we've been playing around with Blender more here at the studio, and I've been enjoying that a lot.
Yeah. So Blender, like you said, it's visual effects, and it's really like a really powerful software. And you've just been doing that for fun. Mm-hmm. Like there was never necessarily the intent with you to say, I want to make money off of this. It was like a passion. So like, and if you don't know, like that's okay. But like, why do you think that that's something that you find a lot of joy and passion? And why is that something that you would pursue outside of like your regular video duties here at Seed?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
Yeah.
I guess I like seeing the behind the scenes of movies, and I like seeing the before and after. Before it's like mostly green screen, and then by the end of the edit, after they've added all the visual effects, it's this huge open world, photorealistic environments. It's just cool to me.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just truly just something you love to do. Yeah. Well, we're excited. So why don't you tell a little bit? We're not going to talk about the client right now because it's still very early. But like, why don't you talk about some of the things that you have been doing in Blender for essentially like some previs and stuff like that right now? Like, just talk about what you've been doing the past week.
You just said not to talk about that, though.
No, I'm saying don't say the client name.
Oh, okay. But I can talk about, like...
Yeah, you can talk about what we're doing, just not the
Okay.
client's name, because we're going to wait until those videos are actually done and out.
Can I say what type of client it is?
No.
Okay.
No, just say what you've
makes,
been doing.
That makes it kind of hard.
Nah, just say what you've been doing.
Been trying to figure out how to animate a dragon.
Right.
George kind of came at me with it on a whim, I guess. And the most animation I've ever done is just with like simple character rigs that only have like 2 arms and no legs. And a dragon, you go from, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like, I don't know, like 8 bones that you have to animate individually to a dragon. I don't know, it's got like a ton of bones. And that's
Right.
been very difficult, but over the past week I've kind of come up with a rough draft, and I think it looks decent now. I guess really more like 3 days in total.
Sure.
I've been animating it.
Yeah. So what does the dragon do? Explain everything that you have done to make the dragon do what it does.
So the dragon was just a 3D model that we bought, and it came with an animation. It came with running up, taking off, and...
Oh, that was loud.
It came with an animation preset of it running up, taking off, and flying. And we wanted it to do something a little bit more specific. We wanted it to land and then breathe fire everywhere. So I had to figure out how to transition it. I kept the beginning of the animation, but I had to cut the keyframes from half to the end. Whoops. And then I had to figure out how to transition it into landing onto the ground and then breathing fire everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
So like what? So what's funny is I talk a lot. I'm very descriptive, and Gavin is not. He's like, that's what I did. So there.
Yeah.
But like what Gavin isn't saying is this is like 18 hours of work to do that. Did it help that it already had some pre-animation so you could kind of
Definitely.
see how the keyframes work?
Definitely.
And stuff. Yeah, I figured it would. That's why I was like, this is a good one to practice on and learn. So like, what are some of the things that you had to think about going into this where you're like, okay, we want it to land. So what does that look like? What are the little details that other people might miss that you pick up on? And you're like, wow, I had to make that left foot pick up and kind of change position so it looks like the dragon is bracing to breathe fire. A little, like, talk about some of that stuff.
So like for the landing, you would think, oh, that's easy. You just kind of make it go down and boom, it's done. But you want to animate it towards an arc, which was harder than I thought it would be. It was really complicated, mostly just because of how many bones there were on the model.
Yeah.
But also because the model was set up in a way that I did not understand at all. Instead of it being what you would normally see with 3D models with rigs with just straight up bones, instead it had like these little balls that you would adjust. Some of them you would have to rotate, some you would have to move, and they would affect different parts of the dragon. And the wings were hard because I could not figure out how to just straight up rotate them. It was like you had to move like 5 or 6 bones just to get the wing to rotate. I don't know if it was just me not understanding it or if it was rigged poorly, but that was a real pain, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it worked out in the end. I think if I had more time, I could have made it look a lot better, but I did the best with the time I had.
Sure. And that's all any of us can do. So look, we don't know if this was just like a fun video to put together to pitch to a client who we ended up we don't know that we're going to do the dragon video idea, but there are videos that are similar to that they want us to do. And so we're really excited for this new opportunity of like using Blender and putting it into our videos. Have you done anything, and I know the answer, but have you done anything in Blender that has made it into some seed videos?
I know the answer is yes, but I'm blanking on any examples.
Okay. Kinematic. The weights.
What did we do with that?
The weights.
Oh, wait.
You don't remember?
Right, okay,
Come
sorry.
on, man.
We worked with this company that made a table that would fold up for football players to put their waters on, right?
Well, this one is actually for them to be on, remember? So, like, it's a table that can fold out, and it's like a medical table, so they can it can hold, like, several 100-pound guy hopping up on the table, getting his leg wrapped, stuff like that.
They wanted to show that it could hold a lot of weight, so instead of us buying probably hundreds or, I don't know, thousands, I don't know how much weights cost. Instead of us buying weights, I just took a picture that someone at the studio took, and I imported it into Blender, matched up the angle, and then added a bunch of fake weights. And the weights, they were like little 5-pound dumbbells, and I added like 50 of them to match whatever capacity it could hold.
Right.
And the funny thing is, the textures actually messed up. That was also a model I got online. They're all the models I use are royalty free though, so we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Just saying. The textures, I used the wrong image. I don't know how I messed this up. It all worked out. They looked perfectly real. But if you were to zoom in unreasonably far onto
Unreasonably far, yeah.
like further than the resolution would allow, you would see that the texture is actually just a repeating image.
These are the things that make Gavin laugh. I love it.
It's just a repeating image of the weight.
Of the same weight. That's so good. So it's like, yeah, if you zoom in, it's that weight is making the pattern.
It's a picture of the 3D model.
Yeah, and it's what? Probably duplicated, replicated hundreds of thousands of times per weight. And it ended up looking like the weight. So it looked good. That's so funny.
That probably slowed down.
I was about to ask, did that
that
probably make the render take forever?
That probably did. But I didn't know it until it was over. And it didn't take that long.
That's
so
pretty funny. Yeah, and then we animated it. Well, it came in as an image sequence, right? Mm-hmm. And then it was just laid in back to back, so it looks like the weights are stacking on top of each other. I thought it looked really cool. And you matched the light perfectly, and yeah, so there's little things like that we've been able to do, but nothing where it's full blown. That's obvious CGI.
Yeah,
because the point of that was to look like we did it with weights, and anyone that watches that video would think, oh, they just stacked a bunch of weights on that table.
It was just stop motion.
Yeah. So anyway, man, I think that there's a lot of opportunity, and I think that the point of this talking to you was, again, to remind people that you're here every day working hard, but also just to kind of shine light on what I think is going to be the future of Seed Creative and of your role specifically, and that is doing some pretty epic CGI and stuff like that. I mean, and we already know that there's some opportunities coming up with motion VFX that you're going to play a role in that as well. So we're super stoked.
I'm probably more stoked than you are.
I think you are. And this is, look, watch. This is Gavin, like, beyond excited. You see it? He's, like, bursting. He's like, oh, my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is what he gives us at the studio every day. Is like, yeah, it's great. But, like, really, he's jumping up and down inside. So, was there anything else you wanted to talk about, Mr. Gavin? A man of few words. It's okay. He's like, oh no.
I don't know.
Sure. Nick, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Oh, are you guys ready to record now? Oh, see, I didn't know I was allowed to do any real work, so,
Right.
Anyway. No, I think Gavin did a good job.
Sweet.
Gavin's our hero pretty often. He does a lot of stuff for us that gets less recognition.
Yeah,
than
that's
it
true.
deserves.
That is true. I'd like to publicly say thank you, Gavin.
Oh, thank you.
He is putting out fires behind the scenes that people, even if it's little things like hey, like we're in the middle of an interview and we're like, Gavin, like go get extra batteries out of the truck. You know, like things like that have to happen. But it's like we don't want to make the client like feel like we're unprepared or anything like that. So he's constantly putting out fires, even things as simple as that are desperately needed. Like someone's got to do it. Also, why is this Mac here?
Nick just put it there, and I just accepted it.
Are we gonna? Not just accept
It was kind of getting neglected, just sitting in that back room.
Yeah.
I mean, I
It
don't
was
know
on the floor. Like, why was it on the floor?
I
Like,
don't know.
I don't know who did it. I'm not like mad at y'all. I'm just like, this is like my favorite thing we have, and it was on the floor, and I was like, well, I'm giving it a spotlight.
should download Blender on it.
Yeah. The thing is, though, is like if you're seeing it from these angles, you can't really see how epic it is. Now, like you turn it like
But
this.
see, then it's not symmetrical.
I know, but like this is like the cool, like its butt is the cool part. It's got a good backside to it, you know. That's a plump computer. Not gonna lie.
It works too.
It does work. It works and like opens files and stuff. It's kind of crazy. So, I like big Apple butts.
It's got very nice features
Cannot
like the
lie.
sticker residue stuck to it.
The sticker, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I wonder if you can still hear that construction. Yes, that's still going on beside us. So
Unfortunately.
hopefully you can't hear it, but they are literally jackhammering
Next door.
like 30 feet away from us.
Probably less than that, right?
Yeah, probably. It's pretty loud. We'll be real quiet. Let's see if you can hear it. Yeah.
Well.
We have double brick walls on both sides, and you can still hear how loud that is.
Imagine if we were in the old studio, though.
Yeah. Old studio would have been worse. If they were here and we were there or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it was just pure.
Or even if they were still there and we were in
Sheetrock.
the old studio.
Yeah, we'd probably
it'd still be
hear it.
worse.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. We love every one of you, all 10 of you that listen. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
This podcast was produced by Nick Golden with executive producer George Edmondson, edited by Nick Golden and Gavin Manning. Be sure to subscribe, drop a like and a comment. Tune in every Monday for brand new podcast content, and we'll see you on the next one.